Black History Month you find
ridiculous?
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
Now that we know we've always been here, what do we do now? How do we get the world to believe us? Does it even matter if anyone else does? How could we accept living in a world where our children are taught lies? A wise man once said, "The truth is eternally kept, and a lie dies with the wicked." We could expose every lie in the world, and people still wouldn't believe, because the truth is a weapon for those who live lies. Our ancestors lived those lies, and we continue to do so as we suffer the same iniquities of our predecessors, leading us into generations of slavery, idolatry, and confusion, to the point we wander our homeland aimlessly searching for purpose, all while thinking we were shipped across the world. That psychological mind control is by design. The purpose is to mentally condition Black Americans into a perpetual state of second-class citizenship through psychological and social reconstruction. This method sought to disenfranchise Black Indians from their homeland through the establishment of laws and codes written into the inner processes of government operations. These new laws manifested themselves in a way that would systematically engineer the social classification of Indians unto this day. The concept of land ownership was something new to these people. Through disease, the sword, and the gun, these rules were imposed. The term Negro became synonymous with Black and African, neither of which is true, but both necessary for the total destruction of a people's history. Why did it take over 50 years of African slavery before Virginia enacted the Virginia Slave Codes, or the Virginia Slave Act of 1682? Why was it important to categorize Black Indians and African slaves into one single category when there had been no such previous classification? Then why was it lawful for any Negro caught without the proper paperwork to be kidnapped into slavery. Slavery in the Americas was harsh, brutal, and most importantly, lasted a lifetime. And now, under new slave laws, a crew of Europeans armed with rabid dogs and guns can legally kill and rape themselves into a fortune. Just ask any conquistador. Slavery was a necessary tool for Europeans to establish themselves in the new old world, without which they would not have surely survived. Completely unprepared for the wilderness, the same heathens responsible for the murder of millions were at one time themselves on the brink of death and desperate for survival. It was the natives who consistently bailed out these conquistadors whenever they were in trouble. These conquistadors were presented with lavish gifts and treated like kings until at some point they wore out their welcome. And then, depending on their situation or desperation, they would move on to the next destination or pull a surprise murder hijack at a night festival and pack the boat full of Indians for a rape cruise back across the treacherous Atlantic, where the unlucky survivors were sold into slavery. In 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued a papal bull. It authorized Alfonso of Portugal to conquer all Saracens, pagans, and non-Christians and deliver them into perpetual servitude. In 1469, Queen Isabella of Castile and King Ferdinand of House Aragon got married. This is the most important wedding in Spanish history, and possibly world history. It is generally mentioned that this marriage initiates the unification of Spain. In 1491, the battle at Granada officially ended Moorish rule in Spain. The families of those Muslims were driven out. The Treaty of Granada was signed on November 25th, 1491, between Boabdil the Sultan and Isabella and King Ferdinand. In 1492, the Queen and King of Castile, Ferdinand and Isabella, the King and Queen authorized and financed Christopher Columbus's first voyage to the Americas, in which he was given the responsibility to sail west and claim land for Spain. Scholars have asserted for centuries that this voyage west for the first time, brought knowledge of the existence of the Americas, in which the Europeans had no prior knowledge of. This idea is a completely false narrative. The Americas were well known and had been trading with other areas of the world since the dawn of civilization. Ironically enough, in 1493, Pope Alexander signed Inter Caetera, in which all lands to the west and south of the Cape Verde Islands were under the control of Portugal and Spain. And this would be the reason that the majority of Mexico, Central, and South America all either speak Spanish or Portuguese. In 1494, these lands were officially divided into conquest borders during the signing of the Treaty of Tordesillas. During the conquer and colonization of these people in the Americas, the Spanish initiated their own system of slave labor called encomienda. Kings would reward individuals with their own group of slaves offered from the conquered communities. Captives of conquest were forced into perpetual servitude. By 1520, hundreds of conquistadors had been sent to the Americas by the House of Castile and Portugal. By 1521, the Spaniards, along with Cortez and smallpox, had laid siege to the Aztec Empire. By 1532, a slew of Pizarros and smallpox had began the destruction of the Incan Empire in Peru. As well, by 1525, the Mayans and the Yucatan region had been well penetrated, but yet to be completely conquered. This distinct era between 1492 and 1532 marked the begin of Spanish domination in the Americas for over 300 years.